Obtaining temporary residency through real estate purchase is something that we're seeing more and more of our clients do simply because it's the easiest process to do so. You don't have to open up a company, you don't have to hire a bunch of employees, you don't have to worry about a bunch of extra paperwork and renewing your temporary residency and showing invoices when it comes to setting up a business. But one of the questions that we get is, what is the process when it comes to registering our utilities for our properties? So we're going to talk to you about in this video, how do you register your electric, gas, water, and another one that is not commonly told when it comes to registering utilities, especially if you're purchasing a apartment. So you're going to want to stay tuned for this video. When it comes to purchasing property here in Serbia in regards to obtaining temporary residency, it doesn't matter if it's an apartment or a house. You can purchase either or as long as they are in livable conditions, and there is no price threshold that you have to actually surpass or meet in order to get temporary residency here in Serbia. And that's something that we do help our clients out with, is one, look for properties, look at the contracts. Our lawyers look in the cadastre, make sure that it's legal, that it's functional, that everything's ready to go for you, and make that process turned over into your possession if that's something that you want to move forward to, as long as the paperwork checks out, depending on who you're purchasing it from and what the process is. And you never know here in Serbia what people have done. But that's not what we're talking about in this video. In this video, we're going to be talking about how do you register your utilities. Some of our clients have decided to take this process into their own hands and do it themselves, but then there's questions that arise as well in that process, and some of them talk to us and be like, hey, listen, we don't want to deal with the paperwork. Here is all our paperwork. You come with us. We'll just sign what we need to sign. You speak the language. We can't figure it out right now. We're not going to sit with Google Translate back and forth with the individual on the other side of the desk and be done with it. Simple as that. But we're going to talk to you about what you're going to need, what you're going to need to provide, and how that process is done. Now, when it comes to your utilities, you're going to have to figure out who your utility provider is. And this is typically a public managed utility company, so it's not very difficult to find. Now, when it comes to preparing the necessary documentation, you're going to need a number of things in order to register the utilities into your name. You're going to need proof of identity, which is usually a valid passport, which, because you won't have an ID card from your temporary residency, because you typically apply for temporary residency after you make the property purchase, unless you've already opened up a business and then looked to purchase a property, you'd already have a temporary or a ID card. The next one you're going to need is proof of ownership or tenancy. So if you purchased a property, you're going to have to get the final contract in your hand, or proof of ownership in your hand. If you're doing this as a rental, you approached the tenant and you want to put things in your name because you're going to be there for, or sorry, you've approached the landlord and you're going to be a tenant there for a long time, you're going to need to provide a lease agreement to show them that, you know, this is where I live, this is what's this is my name, and so on and so forth. You're also going to need to provide your YMBG number, which is for those that are already a Serbian citizen here, and this pertains to those who have obtained their citizenship through descent. Typically, if you're living here in Serbia, you already know the process, but we're seeing more and more clients coming to us and wanting to obtain their citizenship through descent, and then asking for processes after that as well. Now, once you're done that, you're going to want to go to your utility companies, which is your electric, water services and other utilities as well. So I'm talking like gas, internet, for instance, as well, could be another one. And there's another one we're going to touch on, which is informatica. That covers a number of things, which pertains mostly to those that are purchasing apartments. So you're going to want to go to the utility company. You're going to want to get their contract. You're going to want to make sure that you sign all the documents after you provided them, submit the application, and then some of the utility companies are going to want to install, inspect, or measure the meter to make sure that it's in good working order. Also, they're going to look at the previous owner's uh, debt. Is there any outstanding balances on there? And you're going to want to either zero them out yourself, which I don't see why you'd want to do if they're not your bills to begin with. You're going to want to reach out back to the person who bought that that you purchased the property from and make sure that that's zeroed out. People do lie and say, yeah, everything's done, and then you go to switch it over and it's not done. And we've had some people that did this on their own, had some issues, contacted us. Hey, listen, what can we do? We have to go through legal proceedings and, get that individual to own up to his own debts and pay that off, either by going to pay that at the utility company themselves, or they can just simply forward you the money and then you go pay it off themselves. Just show them the proof of debt that they have in there. Now, one thing that I'm going to talk to you about is the informatica here in Serbia, and that is something that many individuals don't understand what it covers. Now, informatica is going to cover your garbage collections at your apartments, your management of your waste, building maintenance fees as well, and property tax administration. One thing to note though is, especially if you're purchasing an apartment for the first time, and if it's a new build, sometimes what people will do is that they'll pay an extra couple thousand dinars on top of their informatica in order to cover future expenses. For instance, if you're purchasing a new build, you typically have a 2-year warranty on anything that is inside your apartment, and then a 5-year warranty on the roof. Now, for instance, say in 4 years that your heat pumps on your building that pumps the heat in through the apartments goes down, you need to pay that as a group, as all the tenants would pitch in and purchase a new heat pump. It's not covered by the city. And so that would come out of the informatica budget. And so a lot of times people will pay an extra 2,000 dinars for a year or two to build up a budget, so that when and if something goes down, they already have money in the fund, and then they can make that purchase right away. And that is done through the building manager. This also will cover your water for the most part as well. So the water in apartments are calculated differently here than they are done in a lot of countries. So in North America, typically you're going to have your own water meter, you're going to be billed out, or it's going to be all inclusive. How they do it here in Serbia is that your water is going to be charged based on the number of occupants that you have living in that apartment, and as well as the size of your apartment yourself. And so it's all divided up by then. And some people may think that's not fair or that's not right, because what if someone's using more water than I am, and so on and so forth. Honestly, we have not ever had any issues when it comes to being overcharged. Our informatica bill is essentially 1,800 dinars per month, and that is for everything: your garbage, your building maintenance, which they mop and clean the common areas, your and your water. You're talking essentially $25 Canadian when it comes to all that. And so I really can't complain if you think that is a little expensive for you, you might want to take that up with yourself and maybe perhaps find a different country to deal with. However, if you're living in a larger building, of course, so if you're living in, say, a 10-story building, your informatica costs are going to be a lot higher due to the fact that there's many other tenants in there as well. So it could get up to 10,000, 15,000 dinars per month that you need to pay for your informatica. So it's important to find out before you're purchasing a new or even renting a new apartment, that you find out what the past bills are, so that you know what you're walking into. The informatica switchover is pretty simple. You simply find the informatica business, go down there with your proof of ownership. You fill out one piece of paper, which basically is your name, your first name, last name, a phone number, how many occupants you live in there, and the date of submission. Submit that in, and it'll be switched over, and you'll start getting that into your mailbox. So it's very simple. One of the beautiful things as well is that when it comes to paying utilities, it is very easy to do online. It's not something that you have to go do paid in person. So your electric, your phone bills, your informatica, all comes with a QR code on there. You simply scan the QR code, sends you into your banking app, and you pay it right on the spot. You have a digital transaction number on there, and it's done. This can be done with pretty much any bank here in Serbia, except for a couple banks that don't have very good digital platforms. But that's why we always recommend that our clients go with one of the bigger banks, which is like Raiffeisen, Teza, OTP, AIK Bank. There's a couple other ones there. Erst is another one, which is mostly done here in Novi Sad. But that's something you have to check out. So switching the bills over from one ownership to another ownership is very easy. But if you do have issues as someone who has just recently purchased a property, rented a property, that is something that we can help you do with. And if you're looking to purchase a property, we can put that all in one package with our lawyers and ensure that your deed is clear, that you don't have any issues. You're actually purchasing a legal property. You have the right to, easement into there, because sometimes people will purchase property that has a private road that comes in there, and it's actually their neighbors that own it, but you have to have the right of way into there to access your property. These are things that a lot of people don't look into and sometimes get burnt by not having the proper legal advice before moving forward. And if you're looking for someone that you can trust us here at Relocation Serbia to ensure that your move is done correctly and that you don't have to worry about anything else except for moving. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.